this intro.
I'm Sir Flowbojan Thunderhammer.
And I'm Teflon Frosthammer.
And I'm Cabbage Tidehammer.
And this
is
WAK.
If Amtgard knighthood means anything, you can't knife a motherfucker and keep it.
And the thing that people need to understand essentially about arts and sciences events is that your scores don't matter.
Do you want a black phoenix or a white phoenix?
Jeez, language, man. We're on
right.
a freaking podcast, for fuck's sake.
Mind-blowing experience, right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to WAK, where we discuss topics important to the Amtgard community at large and talk with interesting people from around the foam fighting world. This week, we have traveled to the probably sunny kingdom of Polaris. I've never actually been there before to speak to Viscount Sir Death Lilly, Megatron, Sunshine, Rainbow Bright. This name goes on for a while in your wiki. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Hey, I'm excited to be here, and yeah, that's how it goes. Actually, that's almost spot on for when assuming I ever got called up for awards. It was basically just people are so exhausted of saying whatever it is, it just turned into additional stuff like Rainbow Bright, et cetera, et cetera,
right.
et cetera. Twinkle Toes, tons of it, and it was great. It's really become quite the fun inside. Not even inside joke. I don't know. It's just part of my existence in Amtgard now, I guess.
It's something the whole kingdom gets to partake in.
Yeah, we've joked about names before that you either you need to get a good name or one gets picked for you, and you've just bought in whole cloth on the gets picked for you.
Oh yeah, that was I was one of those poor newbies who it was like 3 days, I think, three play times or whatever, and they're like, you need a name, and I showed up in bright yellow, and they decided it was Lilly or Sunshine, and I was like, why not both? And that's been my life, and then people have just added stuff ever since. And
how did you get into foam fighting?
So the story's kind of like a lot of people's, really. A friend of mine had gone to a anime gaming convention, and they had seen one of the buffer rooms, and the local Amtgard chapter was putting on that particular room that played in Minneapolis, Minnesota. At I think they're technically defunct now. It's just, that was, I don't know, 10 years ago. But they saw it there, and when my friend Mark, or Hercule, M. Satan is his name. He's a member of the Torches.
Yeah.
My angry black friend. He's awesome. I love him. I've known him since we've been friends since we were like 13, 14, something like that. Just forever. And anyways, he told me about it, and my thoughts were, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Why would I want to get dressed up in a skirt and hit people on a field? And I was pretty close-minded to the concept originally, and I decided after a year of being pestered by them, my friend Hercule, and then another friend at the time, that I should just come and try it. And I had nothing to do on a Sunday. Like a year later, after they had told me about it, went out to a little event the park was having. It was like a 40-person day.
Oh, nice.
And which was great for a new player to show up to 40 people. It's just it's nuts. And I tried it, and my experience was wonderfully fun. I was doing all of the best newbie things ever, just swinging with two hands as hard as I could, trying to whack people with like dumb nonsense, getting told that was wrong. And I was told, hey man, you can't baseball swing your stick. And I was like, but I'm not. Yeah. I'm just swinging it really hard, and then I stop before I hit him so it'll snap and hit him, because it was like PVC or something. And the person that was telling me this was Sir Raphael Frankenstein, I think is his full Amtgard name. And he looked at me and he went, all right.
Yeah.
Good luck. Go get him. Go get him, champion, or something along those lines. It's been a long time.
Sounds dumb. I like it. Go ahead.
And just like every other poor newbie. And there were some other cool experiences just that day that I'll remember for probably forever. As simple as just watching the Archon guys always dress so sharp, if you're familiar with that fighting company. Mm-hmm. And they always look, and it's always clean, it's always nice. The whites and blues are just beautiful in tunics. And Sir Garrick was playing still at the time in that same location with him at that park. And they have their history, and I won't get into all the craziness with those guys because that's a podcast for them.
Yeah.
But what I got to see as a new player there was this gentleman dressed very, very well. Beautiful belt, beautiful tunic. You know, the chain glistening in the sun. It was a beautiful day in this beautiful green, like little hilly area that they were playing. And he like was walking amongst the children and like sat down. I'm like, this is the knightliest dude I've ever fucking seen. Holy shit, that's amazing. And it was just so cool. And I've always had that image of like, that's nuts. And it totally changed my opinion of like what I had been closed-minded to originally. Is like, why would I put a dress on and go play that? I don't get that. That seems super bizarre. And it's crazy because I'm a huge nerd and I love all this stuff. I've gone to plenty of anime conventions and dressed up and cosplayed and done all of that stuff. So like, I don't know why this one seemed dumb to me, but that was like my first real introduction to that, and I was hooked. I couldn't stop playing.
Speaking of anime conventions, everyone should go check out his Amped Wiki page, Lily Sunshine on Amped Wiki. He's wearing a tunic that is...
It's got Shenron on it with the Dragon Ball. Is that the one? Yeah. Dude,
I can grab it. That's right. Like
it's never far
10
from
feet.
me.
Yeah,
It's
like
never
that
far.
thing is
It's
dope.
beautiful. Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit, and I don't want dead air for you guys while you go run and grab the tunic. But my wife, Hopper, did you take Sir or Dame? She took Dame, so. Which might be hip and trendy. I don't know.
Of course you knew. You were just checking to make sure that she was... Yeah, okay.
Nah, you're in trouble. Sorry, bud.
She was coincidentally walking down, and so I figured I'd ask her. Yeah, she put that together as my my knighting tunic.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
So that's all applique, and she used different layers of and different colors of fabric to get the shadowing effect. So there's no paint on there. There was no embroidery machine involved. It was 100% hand applique on her sewing machine that's behind me here. And she's got another project that she's working on that they probably won't watch this. It's another knighting tunic for somebody else. That's going to be essentially like the Japanese waves and koi fish thing with the sun. You can sort of see it. It's
the waves off Kamakura.
That's probably right.
Kanagawa, I think.
Oh, Kanagawa, sorry.
Isn't that a magic set?
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So that she does super cool stuff, and she's got some pretty fun stories with her ANS journey to the Serpent Belt and stuff for garbing. And yeah, it's great. The back is really cool too. It has Shenron holding like the Z sword that Gohan used in the series. So like it's pretty dope.
So now would be a bad time to tell you that we were going to post this in your kingdom. We won't do that.
Oh yeah. Well, so the person knows that they're getting that. It's not a surprise knighting. It would have already been done, but Polaris decided that there would be that little upsurge of Omicron or whatever. So they canceled their winter event, which is a pretty cool event. But so yeah, it's just all postponed, and they haven't seen the tunic, and you can post it. I don't know if the gal will watch it.
I can blur it out. It's not that hard.
Hey, if whoever that belongs to, if you do end up watching, be sure to like and subscribe.
God.
We desperately need it. And if you're really, really crazy, hit that bell notification. I don't know why you would, because we always post at noon on Friday, but that probably helps us too. I don't know.
So inside baseball for you, we never know when he's going to drop those. They're completely ad-libbed, and I swear when he starts talking, the hairs on my neck stand up, and I'm like, oh, God, here it comes. Every fucking time.
Shameless self-promotion is important in all the things that we do.
Right.
It really is.
I want to get to your sword knight.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about that path, because you have traveled through a few different kingdoms now.
Hold on. I have one more thing on the name, because you mentioned that your name was assigned to you. You have a friend named Hercule who got you into the game. You didn't show up to Park and try to be like fucking Goku or something? Like...
So today, after playing for this long, I absolutely should have and missed opportunities, but I didn't know. I had no idea I'd be so committed to this thing that we do. I didn't know. I just didn't know any better. I was a newbie who did not know better.
Okay.
I would have if I had chose for myself at that time, I would have chosen something from a book series that I liked.
Uh-oh.
Comcast.
Name, and then I was like, oh, I guess I dodged a bullet there, because who wants to be named after the same thing as everybody else? Raven.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay, fair enough. It dawned on me. I was like, wait a second. You're a DBZ nerd. You have friends that are in. You tried. You had to have tried, and it just didn't stick. But that makes more sense.
I definitely I missed it 3 days, and I was already given a name, and I didn't want to seem like a bitch. I don't know. I just said, sure. Like, yeah, you can call me whatever you want. I don't care. I'm super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I've run around. I've got a great Sandman tunic with headband and stuff. And my buddy Morpheus put that together. Super simple. My Lemillion tunic is super dope. Again, another Morpheus tunic. That one's My Hero Academia, for you guys if you're familiar with that.
I think I saw on your Amped Wiki, your belt actually says Go Beyond. Is that right?
Yeah, Go Blend plus Ultra Infinite 100%'s on there.
Okay.
And my buddy Zam is an is that DFW? He's in Dallas, and he put that together. Another member of the Chosen. So
Gotcha.
which is super pimp. Yeah, I just dived in, man. I got to be the nerdiest sword knight. I mean, now don't get me wrong. There are piles of them. I just have more cool nerd shit that I wear in Amp Guard. The boys who all have the Dragon Ball belts. I mean, that's pretty much the inspiration to try to get more nerd stuff in like a tunic format. Because I'm like, what? They got, Tato's got like his Brawly belt, which is dope, and those guys have that whole set. And I'm like, well, I don't want to jack their swagger. Like that's not cool. Don't do that. But find cool stuff,
But our friend Subway would. I'll get the names once we get off air of who did those. We'll send them over to you, Jay.
Yeah. Okay, Flo, go on. Sorry, I just wanted to interrupt for a second to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, so you're Sword Knight. You have traveled through a few different kingdoms now. Polaris and was it CK?
Those are the two that I've had residence in and played in, where my first half of my Amp Guard career was essentially in Polaris pre its kingdom, and then I got to I never get enough credit in my opinion for this, but I was pretty heavy-handed as well with helping make the kingdom happen in our Goodyear push between MHOG and myself and Cue Ball and Derek Dabbs Broton. Is basically we had the 4 monarchy parts of the whole process, and then when we did our 12 events, I think we were involved in 8 like heavily of the 12 events. So it was great. But that was that's like the first half, and then the last half decade has been in San Antonio, Texas, playing in the CK. So that's been fun. And
Gotcha.
but otherwise, I've been to just about all the kingdoms now. A little, and not necessarily to every kingdom event, but I got to play out in Florida a little bit for like a handful of months. I was in Key West, and I drove like 4.5 hours to like I think Miami or something, like the closest park. That was mostly DAG players at the time, and I'm like, well, yeah. And I don't know. I think I did it twice, and it's like, okay, I got to say I played in Florida.
You got to come up to a Winner's Edge event, man.
I am so desperate to go do things. Being back in Minnesota, this cold is awful. I'm like frozen in this basement. I'm like, why is it so cold in here? I'm wearing a hoodie, And, but yes. So anyways, now I'm back to Polaris here. We've been back up for about 6 to 8 months.
Gotcha.
Give or take.
Okay.
So, was there a big culture shift from one kingdom to the other? Were they pretty similar?
Oh no. Super different. Talk about a wild so like let's see, what's PC about? How you say it? I'll say it the dumb way, and I'll say it the PC way. Polaris for a hot minute had been like third world Amp Guard. It was very, very new. It was, they had some old heads there, sure, that had been around for like the old guard of what Amp Guard was, pre today. And, but it wasn't this deep, rich culture of like 3 decades of Amp Guard shenanigans. So they have definitely found their feet, in my opinion, now in what like more like National Amp Guard looks like. So like I don't want to just make fun of it too much, but originally it was very different, and some of the differences are cool. One example, and let's use the fighting example since that's the thing I seem to like.
Right.
Here we would get made fun of by many of my chosen brothers here for our Minnesota 4. And we didn't really take 4 seconds, but what would happen is, you get hit in the head and combat stops in the rule book, as far as we understood. And it was always kind of this 4-second pause. It was never officially said.
Right.
It's like, oh, I've been hit in the head, and someone would apologize, and like, I'm so sorry, man. And it's this whole, like, we're being too nice about it, and we're talking a whole lot, and we haven't started fighting again. And for them, it was exhausting, because it's just like, so they'd poke fun at us a little bit for that, and that definitely has changed. And I don't spend a lot of time. I don't want a lot of people have a lot of extra time on the headshot if they're not really hurt. Like there's not don't block with your head. The head is but a second shield. Good head block, buddy. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. And I hit him again, and it's not exactly on the rules, but it's that down there is there's almost the expectation that I've been hitting the head and the shoulder, so I'm dead.
Yeah.
That's your fault. Don't block with your head. And that was pretty culture shockish. I'm like, but you blasted me in the ear. I don't understand. Why are you still hitting me? And that was probably the first most thing about it was how different it was just normal. It was totally normal. There was no this is just what you did. They kind of expect you to die unless you like hurt them, like you've been hit. Move back of the line, peasant, and you're back into combat. And here's another good one. Gosh, I didn't remember this one personally. Here in Polaris, you have like infinite time to switch hands when you're wounded.
Oh, okay.
What's
like,
that like?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm like, I have been struck in my arm. I am going to set my shield down nicely, and I'm going to switch, and we might tap swords again, and it's time to engage in our fight. And holy cow, the CK, it's like, I've been hit, and there's dot, 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 dot. I was dead like 8 shots ago.
Yeah,
good.
Blood in the water, right?
Yeah, call dad faster.
Yeah.
Call dead faster. Well, why didn't you call dead?
Yeah.
Why are you mad at me? You didn't call dead. That's not my fault. And I appreciate it in the speed of combat thing, like when we're all on the same page and everybody's kind of going, so that CK is a little more rough and tumble about how they're just doing the fighting. There's something I think that's super positive about Polaris's gentler hand about it, though. It's nice for the newbie retention, because the new players lose most of the time, and they're the ones that get hit 14 times. They're like, I don't want to do this. And
Right.
keep getting beat up. So, but that's just us. I could talk a long time about the small differences and stuff, and I got more, but those were some big ones right away, I think.
Well, so something that you sort of touched on early on, do we want to stick to the sword belt thing, or do we want to talk about Polaris? Because you said something that interested me, and I didn't know if Flo had more questions about fighting and sword path in general.
We have no direction in the show at all.
I didn't know if you had a line of questioning you wanted to go with. So you had mentioned that you were part of helping build up Polaris and helping get Polaris off the ground. To hear everyone tell it, they built Polaris with their bare hands by scrapping parts off of other kingdoms and whatever else. But tell us about how that really did come to be, because you mentioned the Goodyear project, or I forget exactly how that was phrased.
Goodyear push, Goodyear project. I mean,
yeah,
the Goodyear was good. So the idea was basically like we had to have our 12 events, and we had to get our average of like 75 over the 12 events or whatever, and we got, I think, the average of like 100 and something. I don't remember now. It's been so far from my mind. Yeah, we did it. Now I can just forget about all the details.
Absolutely.
Like when I ever did those again.
Well, does this mean you did 12 events in a single year?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Every month we had an event, and then we pushed for 75 plus people at every single one of those events. The biggest was like 200 plus, and whatever. We broke our average into 130, let's just say, for simplicity's sake,
Sure.
over the 12
That's
months.
amazing.
And so 8 months, essentially in a row, we did between Tiger Clan, which I was a part of with MHOG, and his resurgence of that group when I was a newbie and bringing that up here. It's a Minnesota, Wisconsin area. We did stuff, and we did stuff, and we did stuff. And my reign as prince for that involved superhero-themed reign, which was super, super involved. And I could fill an hour of talking about that, but essentially we did a long-running story across 6 months of these events, and since we had to have event after event after event, it let me tell a story at every event for the players, which then concluded with a very dramatic, everybody lost, the heroes and the villains and the teams that I put them into, whether they were heroes or villains. Anyone could play with whatever team. It's just your experience through the last encounter of the last event was a mile-long dungeon in a tire factory it was a maze we essentially built that had different encounters that you went through in the Batman theme. I'm missing so many details about this because like I had been Batman the whole time, and I was in like the Batman getup, and there's some pictures of that with the full mask and all that jazz.
Well, and it sounds like you may have been hit in the head a few times between now and then.
I've got plenty of injury stories too. Holy cow! You don't get hurt doing this. But I had my friend Charlie or Magnus, who was another MHOG squire, who's a knight at this point. He's such a good sport. He tried to troll me immediately by saying, like, because I was giving extra credits for people who showed up in costume or did something themed or whatever. And he's like, well, I'm a concerned citizen, so I can wear blue jeans and a t-shirt. I'm like, yes, you can, Charlie. Yes, you can. You can be a concerned citizen all you want. And so I put him to work, basically. We choke slammed him through a table. We tried to light him on fire a few times. They would not let me actually light him on fire. I really would. The finale would have been so cool. But over this time period, we told this story, and we did horrible things to him. The concerned citizen, this true hero of the story, but I didn't tell anybody that this is what we were doing. I told nobody in the populace. I had people working. We were all behind the scenes. Hell, when I stepped up as prince, we just hijacked the court. I had villains come in from out of Kingdom, Shady and Danger Snake, two of the Rogers Raiders, come in and just like they tried to call me up. I wouldn't come, so they hijacked the court. They tied up Broton. The Joker comes out, starts laughing. Charlie stands up, and he's like, "You can't do that!" And he's just in like blue jeans, and he gets in Cue Ball's face, and he's like, "Well, watch this or something." And like grabs him by the neck and choke slams him through the table we had behind the bench. Boom! And he starts talking about, "Let's make him a flame knight," and dumping gasoline. And it wasn't gasoline, but dumping gasoline all over him with a gas can. And I got to roll out from behind it dressed up as Batman or whatever, but I missed my cue. I couldn't hear it in the mask. So I'm standing there, and I'm like, oh, crap, I screwed this up. And Cue Ball, who is dressed as the Joker, and he's a much bigger man than me. I'm only 5'8". I'm not tall. He spins around, and I was supposed to punch him, stage punch. And I just punched him in the face. Just bow, and I laid him. I just boom, I hit him, and there's a video of this somewhere. It's bah, right in the face. And then I think I kicked Nifty in the chest. Whatever. It was violent and fun. This is pre you get in trouble for stage fighting in a totally planned format, but no one else knew. So the audience didn't know. We'd never done this before. It was, and at the time, like 10 years ago, as far as MHOG knew, no one else had tried to do this, especially with a long-running story over 6 months of 6 events and whatever. Just really, really in depth here. And so I lay him out. I ended up taking off the mask and do a little bow, whatever, say my piece. The court was only like 8 minutes. It was like, whatever. Awesome. And someone after they'd asked, I got into story time totally on a tangent here. They're like, how did you make the punch sound so real? And my hand's covered in face paint. And I was just like, well, I hit him. I punched him in the face, and his makeup's all smeared. And it was such a wonderful time. And I know I branched off, but I got to build the story a little bit. So, anyways, at that point, we decided Concerned Citizen was now going to be this guy that got abused at court every single event. And I started a roaming court. Back then, where we would go and give out the low-level awards. I still wanted them to be recognized, and we'd do it on the battlefield or we'd do it or whatever. And then that could cut down on my court time because I didn't want people to sit for an hour and a half. Like 5 years in, I knew that was bullshit. No one wants to sit in court for an hour and a half. So we did that, and so we would. He tried to save Commissioner Gordon. I dressed up as Commissioner Gordon. It's the only time that I was like out of the Batman stuff. Otherwise, it was like full costume. I like shaved my face, had a mustache, and I was wearing, I don't know, a belt and suspenders because I guess I didn't understand that one of those does the job of the other one. So it was just whatever.
It's taking out insurance. It's fine.
But we had a Deadshot character shoot him, and we didn't tell anybody again. But he had this I want to say like a half-gallon bag of fake blood in his armpit, So he hits this thing and it just explodes. There is so much blood. And he's a trooper. He'll throw his, I mean, he's a tough man. He just boom, and it's everywhere. I'm like, okay, but he recovered, he made it, no problem. It was concerned citizens just surviving all the problems. Mr. Freeze froze his arm and we shattered that. It was like a thing filled with like spaghetti and like frozen meat. And it just burst everywhere. He lost his arm, he got shot, we put him through a table, we tried to light him on fire. He got kidnapped and beat. That one was pretty interesting, and that one they didn't know. So that was the big twist at the end of the story. For spoilers here, but we did this dungeon. We had a video playing. It was just maniacal laughing. It was on loop the whole time of this really like spooky Joker thing. And he's got Batman tied up in a chair, like unconscious. And he's just hitting him with the crowbar, like it was awesome. And the teams then would go through the dungeon and you could hear the, whatever, just him getting beat and just the whole time. The teams are trying to rush through this. Now, what nobody knew is that it was Concerned Citizen, it was Charlie who we dressed up as Batman at the end of this and had kidnapped and beat to death. And we had his character die in this story. You couldn't save him. There was no way to save the Concerned Citizen. But as far as everyone knew, it was me. Because I hid for like 12 hours in the first encounter as a prop that would spray like a scarecrow gas under a sheet. And these teams, these people, these amp guarders, I love them so much, but they hurt.
Yeah.
I'm just laying there. I'm clearly a person, but they can't see my face. I have a scarecrow mask on, whatever. I'm not a fighting encounter. And they all hit me in the dick. Every single one. I can't see it coming. So they just blast me in the wiener. And I'm like, spray the gas. They trigger the trap. They just hit me again. I'm like, oh, God, please. But I can't speak. I don't want to blow the surprise at the end. So I was the first encounter the whole time. And some people today still don't know that I was there and I was the first encounter, which is great. And by the time they get to the end, we bronzed Charlie from head to toe. And we rolled his ass out as a statue because he was the true hero of this story. It didn't take a Superman. It took just a regular man to stand up to villainy, basically, and he died for them. And we blew the place up. It was awesome. I don't know. It was so much fun. It was. I know it was a long time talking about this. You can edit it if you have to.
Not at all.
Why would we?
Yeah.
I mean,
people get bored. I talk a lot.
No. So one of the things that we're wanting to do with this is we're wanting to meet all of the different kingdoms, right? Mm-hmm. We have not been to every kingdom in Amtgard. I one day would love to go to every kingdom in Amtgard. That's a goal of mine. But we verbally want to take everybody on this adventure where we get to learn what's going on. So what kingdom was this that this crazy quest was happening in?
Polaris,
this was early Polaris,
This is while Polaris had to do its crazy good year push, or the year that we had to get our attendance to make kingdom status. And so if you're going to try to make kingdom status, put on a show, I guess. And we did some other stuff. Immediately after that, I went into a Avatar Day event where we did all Avatar related stuff. And I just made up new, very simple bending rules using the spell balls of Amtgard at the time. I think we were still in 7.7 or playtesting V8. It's been a minute, so that I might be screwing that up. But yeah, and it was just, and then we did some other just things after that. But we just trying to make it as fun as humanly possible and do stuff that no one's done. That's the key to getting everybody excited. And we just had such a huge buy-in, and it's so rare to get everybody so invested at such a high margin. Because I think, and this is no shot to Theo, he does the best that he can. And the event he put on after the 6 months, and then the Avatar Day was like a wrestling themed thing. And now don't get me wrong, there are plenty of wrestling fans, but the buy-in at that now, I think it's just some burnout, because this is now like month 7.
Yeah.
Was pretty low, and it makes it hard to try to, even like from the game designer, the people having to run stuff, to make it exciting when the buy-in now isn't as big.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's just hard when we're all stoked. Yeah, we're going into this thing. It's gonna be great. Kingdom, yeah. It's like month 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the theater of it all. Like, it seems like it's almost easier to do that when you're meeting every month than doing an event. But like you said, wrestling, and like, I have ideas for a wrestling reign. My fiance does as well. And this just kind of puts it to like, you can have theater in court, and turns out you can put someone through a table in court, which was a question I had.
Damn it, I'm getting put through a table, aren't I?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
All you really
100%.
need is, like, let's see, today with the softer, gentler amp guard, you just need a friend who's willing to do it and not listen to the complaints of people who are upset that you put your friend who consented through a table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we weren't, we weren't going to do it if he didn't know we were going to do it. Like
Right.
that's, that was whatever, 6 years ago or something. Like
Yeah.
maybe more.
I want like Tyrant King and paid off referee.
Yeah.
So it's like I
there you
challenge somebody at court, I slough all my shots, and the referee's looking the other way or arguing with the crowd, and then I put Teflon through the table, and the ref doesn't see it.
He pulls out
One
War and
sec.
Peace and starts reading.
Yeah,
Someone's got to hit you with the chair. Like
Yeah.
there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You
Yeah.
got to get hit with the chair.
100%. Yeah. We'll need a pallbearer to announce people at court, I think.
Oh yeah.
Big sound system. Like if you're doing it, you need a big sound system. You need intro music.
Mhm.
Like you need someone to be stone cold. Of course, they got to come rolling in, bring back some some rattlesnake. It just it'd be so great. Like there's fun to be had. It's
Yeah.
just if you just gotta go as big as you possibly can. And M-Hog is a wonderful man, and Q-Ball is a wonderful man. They are both incredibly good at this thing, and you couldn't have much better people for me in the area, especially to help with these things. Especially I'm an extra poor amp guarder at the time, so like M-Hog's what did he teach me early? How do you let's see, how do we fix this problem? Right, we throw money at it until the problem's fixed.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's hard when you're poor, but hey, it was it's not the wrong answer.
Right.
I have a question for you about this too,
Yes, please.
because you mentioned Imhog a couple times. You were Squire of Imhog. You mentioned some of your Squire brothers and sisters, I think, while you were telling this story as well. Were all of you the ones that actually put this on? I love the people that are organizing these big story arcs for battle games and things like that. We don't get to talk about it as much on the show, and I think that's a place that we've definitely been weak. And this was huge. This was a year-long crazy thing that was going on. So who helped you organize all of this, and how did you pull it off?
So it was in simple terms, I had a crazy idea, and M-Hog is M-Hog. Mikey's Mikey. I had just such an overwhelming enthusement for what this game was, and like I said, I was really apprehensive to want to even try this originally. And then after getting to a couple, it was probably I must have been 4 years in tops. I mean, somewhere in that range.
Damn.
I just he had shown me already what the game could be in a more grandiose scale, like with and he set a standard. He basically said that, look, if this is the standard that we met this time, we need to beat that standard every time. And the person, if we inspire them enough, they should want to beat our standard. And we keep building these events until they're just so crazy that you can't meet it. And I think Keep on the Borderlands 3, when he inspired me at that event. I helped him with the night quest for that one, and me and another player at the time that doesn't play anymore, hasn't played super long time, so isn't as relevant, isn't Amp-Guard famous or something, whatever. and anyhow, they had helped out quite a bit with getting this night quest prepared, and the best thing that we've ever had and this he's maybe even said himself, and I'm not sure if he said it too publicly, but the best ideas for us have always come from Amp-Guard road trips. And getting in the car, you're locked in the car, and you're driving across the country somewhere, and you just talk, and we start to theorize about, like, well, what can we actually do? How do we make an encounter fun and entertaining, balanced enough for players to have a good time? What can we do that's different? What's nobody ever done? And I think even at that keep, we're like, okay, environmental effect, we'll put down like little tiles, and the environmental effect will be players hidden in the trees that will throw throwies at the players that are trying to traverse this particular encounter. If they fall off, they die or something, whatever, or they get reset to the back. It doesn't matter at the time. But we're throwing essentially glow stick covered spell balls, which isn't exactly legal to do, but we're like, well, but it's a good encounter, so we should just do it anyways.
Right.
It'll be fine. How hurt could they actually get? And it's Mikey, so you just kind of do it. And so I think we were also not cruel, but we tried to be creative with, like, hey, if you can fit through this like doggy crawl thing, and you can crawl your whole way across. You can get across, but like there's definitely a size requirement or minimum or maximum on that. Like
none of us are fitting it.
The big boys ain't making it through, but like I don't know that I would have. You could send a child, but and they could turn off the environmental effect and whatever. And we just tried to think of stuff like that. And then the next time around, well, how do we top that? How do we do better? And for Polaris's culture of these narrative style events, it started to become something from there. And I think that's I'll toot my own horn. I'm pretty sure I was the first guy who did it up here, and it's then evolved into the event was a Dungeon Day, which is an event I plug for them. It's been a very popular, very good event for a winter event. You make the most with what you can, just because it sucks. You can't go play outside. We just don't go play outside.
Right.
It's awful. But it gives you an opportunity to run these interesting encounters. So we had like electronic lockpick mechanics, where it's very, very, very simple, right? It's just the rod with an electrode, right? Whatever. If the metal touches the thing,
I've made one of those. Yeah, it makes a buzzer.
Yeah, super simple. But like, there's encounters throughout the dungeon where you can actually get like better lockpicks, just bigger holes.
Yep.
That you go through. And if you touch the thing, you didn't pick the door. If you get all the way to the end, you pick the door. Now you're through to the next encounter, or you have other mechanics to get through. Maybe you can. And for the Arkham stuff, it was great because we had them assaulting Arkham Asylum and going through there to try to save Batman, which was concerned citizen, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And they didn't know. Oh, they were so mad because they'd send teams through, and they some of the fighting companies that were bigger would send one team through first, like their B team, and then they're like, okay, so tell us what it was. Well, the encounters were different for every team, so
excellent.
Good luck.
I was going to say, how do you keep that secret once they finish it? So you just make encounters?
Jeff's loving all of this.
Oh,
he's salivating over here.
All of it is like, I've had all of these ideas, and it's already been done. Great, awesome.
That's okay, because hopefully you can improve upon the formula and make it better, right? Because there's plenty of stuff that we've missed, I'm sure. This was super big, and I can't sell this enough. We have a narrator who goes with the teams through the encounter. They narrate what's going on, what the players see, and whether or not they are doing the correct thing, or basically a timekeeper to keep the crawl moving.
Yeah.
And 7 to 10 minutes is about the prime time for each encounter.
We actually accidentally stumbled on that. Lexi was at one of our local event quest days, and she didn't want to deal with it, but she wanted to help out, so she just kind of jumped in as the narrator and was like, hey, you're off the path, get out of here, but in a more narration fashion,
But that's really, really, good. Like that's a swell idea. So that event was a great opportunity for people to then push the envelope, because they got to see what we did that year and then plan for the following year. Like, okay, well, we're going to try to put in the bid for this. This is our theme. Maybe it's Zelda or whatever, the Kingdom's Reign theme, and we'll build on that. And then how do we do cooler props? And there's been some stellar stuff that blows what we did out of the water.
That's awesome.
It just way more engineering has gone into the cool props. I think one of the earliest ones, we had a gelatinous cube that was the size of the hallway, and a D&D thing that we had done I think the year previous, and it just slow crawled towards you, and you couldn't go around it because it's the size of the actual labyrinth. It was basically a carport on wheels, with people inside it and hanging I don't know, body parts and stuff, and they would just lash out with weapons at you, and you'd I can't remember what the gimmick was to get past it. There was some, of course there's some gimmick in the D&D for that, but it was it's cool stuff. IR Sword Knight. However, I did this stuff really, really hard. All the fun, I don't know, whatever part of that you want to say is Amtgard, just the fun part of Amtgard.
Right.
Isn't fighting.
You took something we'll use the road trip example that you used earlier. You were just with some friends riding around and said, it'd be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
If we had the Batman fight Joker in Amtgard, wouldn't that be nuts? And then you just thought about how to make it happen. It's something that Jeff, I know, has preached time and time and time again on here. Props make the world go round, and all you need is just some creativity. You can make anything work in our game. Any theme, anything. I would love to see a Dune-themed rain. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. There's the CK tried to do it, but if you don't get the prop part, it becomes really important, because you need to you need some immersion here. Like, I hate to say, you're breaking my immersion with your shoes or your gloves or something ridiculous, but that immersion is really important. And we just identified if we're going to do it, we can't half-ass it. You really got to do it well. And if you're otherwise,
like you said before, the buy-in is the really important thing, and how you get the buy-in is honestly, I think, through props and stuff like this, because the more you bring out like these people who look like they're part of it anyway, the more I think everyone wants to be part of it.
Dibs on the sandworm.
Yeah, you watch Chuck as well. Yeah.
The property matters too.
Yeah,
what you choose for the theme is going to be so big. And I mean, choosing superheroes. Everybody knows a superhero they like. I mean, from any genre across anything. I just chose for the narrative it to be DC. It didn't matter what anyone else did. If they wanted to show up as I don't know, Mighty Mouse from the Hanna-Barbera, whatever. Yeah, like, okay, cool,
that'd have been me. There's no need to fear. Mighty Flo is here,
and that's totally fine. And I'm like, like some people try to use it as a trolley thing, and I'm like, look, I don't care. The only thing I'm asking is that you don't choose these like 4 characters because of the narrative. It was like Batman, Superman, etc. Just I can't remember. Batman, Superman, Joker, and
Concerned Citizen.
Yeah.
No, see, we just didn't tell anybody. No one wanted that gig. Yeah. Let's just put him through a table. We didn't even tell anyone it was a gig. It became a thing because he tried to troll us. And I just decided it was a good idea to roll with it. Like, all right, Charlie, we're going to do this. We're just like on the spot right there. We're hijacking this court. That leads to another funny story about that event, because Danger Snake and why can't I think of Shady's name? Shady. They did not kidnap me. That is not accurate, and it's not a crime. I promise. I totally purposely got into their vehicle and then just went on a crazy road trip for like a month from that event in Wisconsin that I did not live in Wisconsin. And I went to Clan pretty much immediately from that event.
Oh, wow.
We just drove straight there. Mm-hmm. And then I went to Dallas, and then I went to Austin, and then I went on a Greyhound that, I don't know, assume it got lost. It took me like 36 hours to get back to Minnesota. It was wild. Jeez. I've done 4 Greyhound trips, and they've all taken something like 30 hours to try to amp guard, because the poor amp guard are $100. I can maybe find $100 on a bus for like 2 days. Everyone should do it once.
If you pretend that you're sick, people won't sit next to you, but you got to sell it the entire time.
With COVID, sure, everyone's like, stay away from me. Then everyone wants to sit next to me. Hey, buddy, where are you from? I'm like, I don't want to talk to you.
No, you just
like, we had sheriffs getting on looking for like an escaped criminal. Like, I don't know, dude. It was wild. It was like a wild experience.
Just curl up in the seat like, oh, there's devils in my balls.
See, that'll do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, from that event, I hadn't really formally really met them. Mikey just had told me that he's just like, here's some cool guys. You should like consider doing this crazy road trip. I really don't remember. Honestly, my recollection is that they were like, hey, you want to go to Clan? And I was like, sure. I just got in the car and we left. Like, I don't remember how I got to that event. I don't remember how I got back. I don't do drugs, and I hardly ever drink. So it's not anything like that. I'm just like old, I guess, now. I don't know. I just early onset Alzheimer's, I guess. Not to make fun of Alzheimer's.
For this is talking about kind of historic Polaris and where how the kingdom got started. If I was me and had not been to Polaris and I wanted to come to one event, right? One thing that Polaris puts on that everyone should visit, what would it be?
You had mentioned their winter event being really cool. What did you miss out on?
So this is the hard part, because I would say that the Dungeon Day or D-Day event, their winter event, their February event that we just had canceled because of COVID stuff, is a really unique experience, because it's not, and it's changed some because I don't think they have the same site now. Like I've been a little out of touch, right? Because I've been in Texas, so like my current events will be a little off. But that was really just a stellar, unique thing to try to suggest to check out. But it's hard because it really is just like a day event, because it's winter and no one wants to stay out there. Originally, we rented out the Best Western Hotel, and we would shuttle people to the dungeon with their team, and we would hang out. We got the ballrooms. They had a pizza joint attached and a bar, and we had a great time.
Was this the dungeon? Was the dungeon a pizza room with a ball pit and a bar?
I mean,
because I'm down.
If you drink enough, it is. I'm questing. Give me your pizza, Lord of the Pies. And some people, that's a pie. It was a great site. I found we were in desperate needs of some solution to the winter format because it was so hard to get our numbers up for this Goodyear push that I think someone else was doing it. I don't know what happened. They were just having a hard time finding something in our budget. And the Best Western's like, look, if you guys get 10 rooms, you can have the ballrooms for $200 or something like that. And they're like, oh yeah, there'll be 10 people that'll get rooms, right? So it was nothing too crazy. So we got that site, and then we just organized shuttles. One of the players out here had converted a school bus into one of those cool livable live-in things.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Just
Yeah.
basically loaded up with people and would drive that to the event. It was only 5 minutes away it wasn't super far. So it was coincidentally worked out really well, this tire factory and this Best Western. And yeah, so we would basically ditch in one ballroom. The other ballroom had an ANS related stuff. And I think that kind of developed into this thing that's been going on called Polaricon here. One of my friends is trying to get that going, where he's doing a convention style AmpGuard event inside, where you have this ability to go do convention things, anime convention stuff.
That's really cool.
Interesting.
And I think he's done it twice now, and it's interesting. And fresh new events are hard to make work. So I want to answer your question with the event that I think is a better choice. Since the Dungeon Day one is hard, it's February, it's cold, it's awful, and it's generally 1 day. The party room stuff, the Wisconsin peeps can drink and throw down, and they have a sweet time. That is their national pastime for sure.
Right.
Well, not national, I suppose, but whatever. Anyways, you know what I'm saying. But the Great Adventurers Challenge, or GAC, is probably a better summertime version. I can't think of the dates off the top of my head. It typically is, but that is essentially your Friday evening to end of Sunday night questing. And they do that outside. Of course, everyone's losing event sites because of reasons. But they had a stellar event site with a 2-story paintball castle and a shanty town filled with paintball buildings. And we would fight through and quest through the buildings and on the castle, on parapets, and into the woods that was nearby. It was a beautiful site. But they would do quests again in the same, more of the D&D kind of fashion. You'd form your teams and you go do stuff, and sometimes they would get more creative, or not more creative, but they would take a risk and try something a little different than using the same kind of format we've done and do something else. They did bank robbery kind of Western thing, which was fun.
Oh, that's nice. I think I've learned that we're just not asking the right places for
for
event sites.
What I've taken away
straight up.
What I've taken away from all of this is that going to the 4-H camps and Boy Scout camps is not the way to do
it. They want your money, and they don't want you to drink, or they want you to give them money so you can drink. And that's been our problem with Boy Scout and Girl Scout camps. And it's, hey, don't come after me, Boy Scout of America group people. You're awesome. Keep doing what you do, but they've just been expensive when we've looked into them. It's cool to have cabins and stuff, and that's always a huge plus. But man, if you can find a paintball field that's off season, it's pretty fun to go play at. It's, if they don't care,
there's got to be plenty of airsoft and paintball and stuff like that.
This is East Tennessee. I was going to say there's 30
potentially
within 10-mile radius.
Something with.
If you can, off season's a little maybe easier for us because when it gets cold, no one wants to get shot.
All right, so to condense things for the Winner's Edge folks who might be listening, no, you're fine. Listen, we go on tangents. That's the point of the show. So
you haven't talked to Flo in a normal setting, so
it's perfectly fine.
Okay, feelings.
Listen, so for people from Winner's Edge who are listening to this, it sounds like the way Polaris does things is when they do themed events, they take it all the fucking way. Where Winner's Edge will do a themed event and it's Avatar themed, but you don't have to be in garb, and it's not like we're enforcing anything, and the battle games are Avatar themed, but if you don't take it that way, it doesn't really matter. But this is you gotta save the concerned citizen, or you gotta save Batman, and that is working its way into the event in a very kind of concrete way.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta make people want to be a part of it. Like, they gotta feel like they're missing out. Like, it's gotta be so good that they're like, well, why didn't I dress up for this? Why didn't I do this? Because now I feel like I'm an idiot. I'm sitting over here, and look how much fun that they're having. Hell, our Avatar Day, the 1 day thing. My buddy Devin doesn't play anymore. He had dressed up as the Cabbage Cart Man. We had a cabbage cart made. We filled it with cabbages and throwies and like whatever. And the goal of that game was essentially just to get as many of his cabbages to one of the 4 teams like bases, and he would just scream "my cabbages" and sprint around with this full-size cabbage cart while you tried to hit him, and he would get knocked unconscious, and then he just randomly spring to life, "my cabbages," and he would grab his thing and he would go screaming around. And I'm pretty sure there's a video of him doing this. The cart got destroyed. It was made of wood, but like the amp carters are mean. He didn't have any weapons. It wasn't a fighting encounter for him, so the teams had to fight each other while collecting this resource while he sprinted around pulling a cart full of cabbages. And I tricked everybody into helping clean up by saying the next game was about collecting all of the cabbages that you had gained or other teams had and putting them into the cart.
Yep. Genius.
Well done.
He then went, "Oh no, my cabbages," and tipped over the cart. And I was like, "Devin, why? We have to do this again." But yeah, like it was just so crazy, and he was so into it. Your actors, your NPCs, if you got to get the right NPCs too. Like that's so big, and if they're half-hearted in it, and then there's not always going to be great NPCs. Like sometimes you need body fillers, and that's my buddy Morpheus again isn't necessarily going to go and role play it up and do that level of whatever. But if I need a guy who's just going to hit people, he's a guy that'll hit people at least.
Right.
And I know I can put him in that position. And so if you're the game runner, the designer, whatever, okay, this is my guy for this. And if they're like, I want to do the acting, like, I love you, but
yeah,
I need you to hit guys. And if you want to role play that, you should do it really good. I believe.
So do you have any advice for people that are in other kingdoms that think that some of the stuff you've been talking about sounds fun? Maybe they're wanting to get together with some of their buddies and try running some fun, silly thing, but maybe their kingdom, like ours, doesn't always get as invested. So you're looking to increase the investment from the people.
So, and that's hard because new players are always, we don't give them the right amount of love or time, and I think it's because the volume of dumb ideas from the new player. I don't want to sound like a jerk about it, but they are like, but we could definitely do backflips off this tree while shooting like airsoft guns at each other or Nerf guns. It's
I thought you said you haven't been to Winter's Edge.
What it does, we end up getting these suggestions that are so far off the rails. But what would be helpful is more about what our veteran players are doing then is taking the time to like, you know what, that's a really cool idea. It's a little outside of the box for what we can do, but how do we make this into more AmpGuard related? And if we can do that, I think we have a great idea here. And those road trips are what really build this up. So take those new players and drag them along. Let's go look at another kingdom. Let's go to the RW. Let's see what they're doing. And while you're on your way over there, or whatever kingdom you want to go to, and you just talk and you start talking about stuff and write it down. Holy cow, the amount of ideas we've lost because we just were like, yeah, we should write this down.
It's criminal. It's really criminal.
Nobody does. Mikey had a basically not. I don't want to say it's a real rule, but I never wanted to disappoint him. The passenger seat, front passenger seat. Okay, you're the co-pilot. I don't get to be on this. This does not exist while I am co-pilot. And we don't have music on. He is old school, man. It's silent if you don't talk. So you're encouraged to have to talk about stuff.
Right.
And he's a genius. And it forces amazing ideas when you suddenly are in a car and there's no music. And it's just you and whoever may be in the car. But it makes conversation happen. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that he always did that on purpose or not. But I've adopted that some, and I give my friends crap when they're like, well, you're letting me down. Like, you have to entertain me. I'm the one driving here. Like, come on.
If I fall asleep, we all die.
It's just a terrible experience. And I never wanted to let him down. So I'm like, yep, phone's gone. What are we talking about? Tell me a story. Tell me the bear story again. I need to hear the bear story. If you guys have had him on and he's not told you the bear story, there's a great story, and it's.
I don't think he told us the bear story.
We had him on twice, and he didn't tell us the fucking bear story.
Hey,
we'll
Mikey,
get him on a third time.
Mikey, you're coming back on. We need to hear the bear story.
He'll be in Winter's Edge for the April event.
Yeah.
So we'll make him tell it then.
Perfect. Yeah, that is one of his, in his words, best stories. It's not an Amtgard story per se, and I won't spoil anything, but it's a great story. It's one of his best stories. I can't believe it. And what about Bruce the Ninja? Oh boy, he's got 2 fantastic stories.
I can't remember.
Hey, when we get off the air, could you just give us the list of all of Mikey's best stories that he apparently chose not to? You know what? This is long con.
Yeah,
we have to have him back on.
Yeah.
Back on.
Hey, good. Big brain, Mike. Big brain.
Wait, hold on. Someone write it the fuck down.
You know you can't look at me for that shit.
Yeah, okay.
I can't just go back and check the video.
Yeah, I'll get it in editing. It's fine.
Digitally written down.
Yeah.
But speaking
That's
of
called
stories,
recorded.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of stories, we are coming to the very end now.
Holy fuck, that was fast.
Yeah, I know, right?
We didn't even talk about Sword Nighty stuff.
Hey, this is
we can do it another time.
Yeah, we'll have you back on. I'm sure that you have more stories that you're not telling us right now either.
Yeah, I wrote some down to tell, and I talked about other stuff.
That's how it goes, man. It's perfectly fine.
This is literally called Tangent the Podcast. It's,
yeah.
But so we always like to give you a chance to tell a funny or crazy Amtgard story, which has been really what this has been about. It's been great. I've loved it.
Yeah.
But do you have a funny or crazy story to share with us at the ending here?
Sure. And I thought this is the one thing I at least thought about while when I got asked if I wanted to come and chat with you guys. It's like, okay, well, what story do you tell in the piles of stories you have to choose from when you've done this at least a little while? And I decided on one that was more relevant to my journey in the game, and it's one that I didn't tell on Stab Chats. I talked to Anatole about it after the video, but at least it wasn't on video, so I don't think I've talked about it otherwise, so I'll talk about it here.
You cheated on us with another podcast?
Well, he asked me first. I've also been on Path to Paragon with Merrick.
Yeah.
Which is a fun. We talk a lot. His run for like 3 hours.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
So before you start your story, if you have not listened to Stab Chats by Anatole, it's great. Merrick's Path to Paragon is also absolutely excellent. Both highly recommended by all of the hosts here.
The Coach's Codex stuff on that Stab Chats is hosting, as I don't know if it's like a side project, but the Coach's Codex stuff they're doing is really fucking cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a smart show, which is cool. He really, Anatole's a cool customer, man. Like, I love the guy. And Merrick, yeah, you're good too, I guess. Path to Paragon, you should check it out. There's fun content there. I say the same thing on all the ones that I'm on. You should be flanking more. It's really important. Flank more. Why aren't you flanking? All the time, flank. It's great. Anyways, so the story was SKBC Utah. I want to say I can't think of what year that is, but that is probably about year 4 of playing for me, maybe year 5.
Okay.
And the night ditching. I mean, this is a beautiful site. They're on a military base. I got to paint the picture in like the in Utah, there's mountains or something in the background. I think those were mountains. I don't know what mountains look like. Big hills maybe, but whatever. They're awesome. And so the view is beautiful. It's a military base, so the grounds are super well kept. Really, really nice facilities and bunks and everything. So it was a really great experience, and I would recommend SKBC for anyone who cares about fighting, since I do know stuff about fighting, I swear. I've done that before. that I talk about event stuff, But I'm not particularly talented at this thing that we do. I would say I was generally pretty underwhelming as a young Amtgard fighter. The first year and a half, I was so scared to fight anybody. I stayed a mile away from me. He'd step towards me, and I'd run away. Oh my God, this is terrifying. I know what I'm doing. And I wanted to just shoot a bow forever. That was it. All I wanted to do was shoot a bow. And I got pretty good at that originally. And I was like, who needs to hit people? I can shoot things. So I really got to paint the picture that is extra bad at this thing that we do. And you'd never give me a second look. But I wanted to be involved with all of it. I loved it. It was great. It was super cool. And, just trying to figure out this thing that we do. So MHOG, being the great influence that he is like, you got to go to SKBCs. So I went to my first SKBC, I think my first year, and then second year, and then third year, and then fourth year, and then fifth year. And, I've never missed one that I could physically go to. COVID canceled the one, and so since I started, I've been able to go to one every single time, and it's just an amazing place for learning if you want to learn to fight.
Yeah.
So we're in Utah, out there with buddies, getting my ass just destroyed by these guys. Now that is exactly how I'm going to say that. I'm going to leave it exactly. But I'm getting beat up. Everybody's just really good, and I'm like, whoa, and I'm trying, and I'm trying, and I'm trying, and I'm fighting, and I'm trying to, do the best that I can, right? And I don't know who Anatole was, right? Like or at least I was so very vaguely aware of like his existence. Like, I mean, there's so many Amtgard legends, that I'm like, oh, Anatole and Shion and Delos and Arthon and et cetera, Brett and et cetera. I don't miss somebody's name drop,
Yeah.
Eggman, whatever. Anyways, so going through all these, all these dudes are there. They're all amazing. They're all fighting. They're doing the thing. And anyway, so I'm like probably 5 guys down, and there's just some big names. There was like Brennan and Anatole and Shion and Torches and just a slew of Torches. And Anatole, I don't know. He probably sword side hipped me, right? A money shot for the layman who wants to just call everything a money shot. There's differences. But whatever. So he hits me in sword side hip, and I shit you not. I'm like, I point at him, and I point to the end of the line. I call his ass out, and I'm like, we're going down there. We're fighting again. No words were exchanged. Okay, so I just and I'm not mad, but he faked. I don't know what he did. I'm like, and he fucking kills me. I'm like, just do it. And he looks at me. He's just so excited, like a giddy schoolgirl. He's just. This kid just called me out. Oh my god!
Nice.
Not that I'm special, but that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Who does that? Who am I, right? And so we go down to the end of the line. I don't know. We fight for a while, and he just beats the shit out of me. I'm just like, oh, you're so good. I just can't believe it. And I think that we built a pretty neat little across the country friendship from that moment. And what it came down to, because I was there with my buddy Morpheus again, who's my primary sparring partner. We've been fighting consistently, I don't know, until I moved away, like somewhere between 3 and 7 days a week. I know we were fighting constantly.
Right.
I wasn't getting any better, but we were fighting a lot at least. So, hey, it was good. But he was out there, and he was showing up pretty well. He was fighting Diego, and he was having a good night, and really good exchanges for the, he's a year less in. So if I was 5, and he was like 4, and he's doing good. And everybody's like, wow, this kid's got so much potential. He's great. And that just been the talk of the town. And Anatole said the same thing. Like he gets in the kind of circle of guys talking, like Torches and wheel guys there. And they're like, yeah, this guy's got it. And then he looks at me and make eye contact, and he's like, you got a lot of heart. It's like no potential. It's all about this potential that my buddy's got, how great he is. And he really is a phenomenal fighter.
Uh-huh.
He's fantastic. He's awesome. I got heart. So then our joke for years has been heart.
Yeah.
I've got anime and God on my side. And I am great. And I really wanted to sell about the, was not particularly good at this. It's been a tremendous amount of hard work and consistently just trying to fight and get better. I mean, so much so as to now I moved across the country for more than just fighting, but I put myself in a position. And I'm not suggesting that young people should be doing this for Amtgard. This is a fun side sport thing that we can do, and it's super cool. And you should commit whatever you want to it. Life is short. Have fun, but make sure you make enough money to live. Then go do the fun thing. You can do both, but it's don't sacrifice too much to play this, because you're gonna you give up a lot to do this thing. And even from my body, I really am beat up. It's swell. I think on Stab Chats when I talked to him, I know I'm tangenting here on our
no, you're good.
You're fine.
before I knew that I had broke my spine when I was on that one, I hadn't had it confirmed yet that my spine was broken. I got story. I'm just saying, man. Like, an hour's not very long. I talk. I got stuff.
And that was when I learned, as we were about to get off the call, that Lilly broke his spine at some point
and didn't know it for some time. Apparently,
I spent a year on a broken L5S1 that I didn't know I broke. And in that one, I was pretty sure. I think I told them, it's like a pinched nerve. It's been like a year. It's probably fine. Went and had an MRI, and they're like, oh yeah, you broke your L5S1, and then it looks like it healed, and then broke again, and then healed, and then broke again. So you're on your like third break of this thing. Yeah, the story for that's not super funny. I'm pretty sure I've identified where I broke it. They asked if I got hit by a car, so that was cool. That's not. Did
you tell him you got slammed through a table?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No. I got to explain many times to many doctors what it is that we do.
Yeah,
and that's.
I'm sure none of them like it.
Yeah.
No, they don't. I did get told. I didn't get told I was an idiot about the spine thing. I did get told I was an idiot for not fighting without eye protection. Because I have one eye that functions and the other one doesn't really function. So that's another cool thing too. So I got more like that. Now I have to wear a helmet all the time to. This is a pre-amp guard thing. This isn't an amp guard shit. I originally didn't want to out myself because I thought there'd be a big issue. People throwing shots over here where I can't see. I can see some movement. It's just like on the scale from 100 to 20, or let's say if it's just 20 to 100 for vision or whatever, like 20, 20, 100. It's like a 20/80. Which is real bad. It's real bad. It's not good, and it's a neurological thing, I guess. So it can't be whatever. Anyways, other things that are problems. So that one I got hit in the good eye and lost some vision there, and was like, oh crap, I'm gonna be blind. I won't be able to drive a car or do whatever. And so when I went in, they had to ask me which eye was the hurt eye, because they were confused because my left eye is so unbelievably bad. But they're like, is it the right eye or the left eye? I'm like, it's the right eye. They're like, the left. What's wrong with the left eye? And I'm like,
yeah, here's a story on what's going on.
The doctor's like, well, what's wrong with that one? Like, I don't know.
And then I was like, they're like, why aren't you wearing eye protection? And I'm like, I don't want to look like a nerd.
No, so Zeb, this is the very first lesson that Sir Gillen taught me when I got in the game. $5 sunglasses from Walgreens will save you so many times.
When I did that originally, I was that kid in the shades, like in the Ray-Bans and whatever, just looking like a douche constantly. It was awesome. And it wasn't even for my eyes, because I never worried about it until I had both eyes stabbed. Okay. Perfect.
I'm doing my best. You know what? It's fine.
But I got tired of my nose getting destroyed from the frames and stuff. So the helmet that I picked up is great. It's essentially just a cage, and it's a soft plastic. It actually conforms and stuff, which is
cool.
Cool.
Neat.
It was developed by somebody out in Florida, I'm pretty sure. So it's technically for women's lacrosse, and it's not required for their game. They're trying to get it off, and I'm pretty sure that. Okay, fine. The wife brought it over here.
Yeah. Okay. I was picturing a lacrosse helmet. So yeah, and
it's
squishy.
Yeah, so it's really, really. I'm not saying everyone should go get one. I actually hate it. Everybody asks me, "Where'd you get your helmet?" I won't. I'm like, look, I wouldn't wear it if I didn't have to. I think it's ridiculous. Our game's not that dangerous, but
I remember when Sir Sparhawk and Sir Logan. Sir Sparhawk had to start wearing a helmet for a little while, and they took strips of cloth and yarn and braided it, like put a knot in it, and then stuck it through the top so that it looked like they had dreads coming down off of it, and painted their helmets up. It looked pretty cool.
No, I mean, you can do cool stuff. I'm just not that artsy. The wife is great, but she's so busy with everyone else's projects, but one's for me.
Yeah.
It's not fair. She's made me cool stuff. I'm only saying that because she's around. And
yeah.
Well,
but yeah, anyway, I know. Yeah, sorry. I know we went. Hi, wife.
Hi, wife. No. It's perfect.
Hello, Dame so-and-so.
Hopper.
Hopper, yeah.
Yeah, Hoppers. Ah, she hit me in the head with the Reese's Pieces. I got attacked by candy at the end of the stream.
No, it's perfectly fine. It's just one of those things. We actually, when we started, our episodes were roughly 2 hours long.
Sure.
And ultimately what we learned is that like people aren't willing to listen for that long of a chunk. So we would love to have you back on to get more.
Absolutely.
Because it sounds like you're chock full of stories. So let's not just write that off completely. But this was a get to know your kingdom and get to know you kind of thing. And it's been fantastic.
It's been a blast, yeah.
I hope it was good. And maybe next time I'll talk about the experience in CK and how trying to gain Sword Knighthood there was challenging. How does that sound?
Hey,
yes,
we can pull him and we'll just get him for CK also, right? Yeah,
yeah, right.
Yeah, just double up.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's a good time.
I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreons. If you like what we do, and especially if you liked having Sir Lilly on, would like to see him back again, think about subscribing. All of the links to support us will be in the
show notes below.
Yeah, that one. You want to go ahead and roll us out?
Sure thing. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on YouTube or Spotify to get notified about new episodes. And make sure to follow us on Facebook for announcements and more.